This lecture is about the tomb of Humayun. It's a study in architecture. And you know very well the tomb of Humayun is the foundation of the school of Mughal architecture. You know very well tomb of Humayun not only laid the foundation but a new era started in the architecture of the medieval period, especially Mughal architecture. After the death of Humayun, Haji Begum took an initiative to build a mausoleum for Humayun. And you know very well what was happened. Mausoleum of Humayun, its construction started in circa 1558 and it was completed by 1570 AD. It takes almost 12 years, and Haji Begum was instrumental, though the credit for constructing such a mausoleum goes to Mughal Emperor Akbar the Great. This structure was designed, executed, and everything was done by Mirza Ghyas. Mirza Ghyas, this name one can found in the Baburnama as a stone cutter. This Humayun, tomb of Humayun, is also provides a synthesis of the Central Asian features, Iranian features with that of Indian architectural features. And this structure in itself a great structure. This tomb of Humayun is existed in the center of a charbagh. Charbagh, a charbagh is a garden which was divided into quarters with the help of running water channels and walkways, paved walkways. At the central axis, central intersecting axis, a mausoleum was built, and that's why when a structure built with a garden orientation, it is known as a roja. With the help of the running water channels and walkways. And one thing is quite clear, on the two sides at the this garden is enclosed by a boundary wall. At the corners, this boundary wall is this charbagh is having a basin type of the structure. At the cardinal points, two cardinal points are occupied by the gateways, while two other cardinal points were occupied by a structure that are symmetrical to the gateway. But these two structures are containing a water body. And you know very well, on one side, this Humayun's tomb is having a entrance gate. And when you enter into entrance gate, you found a walkway, and this walkway is having a running water channels. Its entrance gate to the charbagh is totally different. Here the central portion is flanked by double-storied alcoves. And now these two wings, instead of receding backside, they are projecting outside to the central portion at the 45-degree. Meaning by the central portion and the side wings are diagonally fixed with the central part of the entrance gate at the 45-degree. The central portion is having a bigger arch. This bigger arch is containing a two-arch opening. The lower arched opening facilitates the entrance and a functional arched entrance. And while upper arched opening is meant to provide a light and relieve the suffocation from the inner side. And this bigger arch, is having a spindle in the form of a star shape. having a socket is filled with a white star, and this arch, upper portion of the arch is molded with white, inlaid with white marble. At the crowning part of the arch, we found a small flower. Side wings are, and at the upper part, we have a cornice to the center. This cornice runs from end to end, and side wings which were projecting outside at the 45-degree are composed of double-storied alcoves. These alcoves providing the access to the inner side. The both end of this entrance is surmounted by a domed square pillared pavilion, and these domes are typically symmetrical or typical to the central dome of the main structure. On one side of at the cardinal point, having a gate type of the structure, though it's not a gate, it's not a functional gate, but it contains a water body. You know very well Charbagh needs a running water, and this running water channels get the feeding from these cardinal points water bodies that contained in the gate like of the structure. Humayun's tomb is very interesting. The main mausoleum is existing on a two platform. The first platform and the height is 1.52 meters. It is entirely built of this one, entirely built of red sandstone, and at the cardinal points having a staircases to reach the terrace, and this square platform is chamfered at the corners, and the chamfered corners in the mid also containing a staircases, and these staircases facilitate to go to the terrace of this first platform. The second platform on which this main mausoleum existed, the second platform is again 6.1 meter, and it is a squarish on plan, but its corners were chamfered. This platform contains the alcoves. On one side we have a 17 alcoves, and meaning by the total, and one chamfered angle is also having a one alcoves, and these alcoves, the total number of the alcoves is 72. The central alcoves containing the staircases, and these staircases lead to the terrace of this platform to the main mausoleum. Now, these alcoves contained in the second platform providing the entrances to the chambers which existed behind the alcoves. Meaning by this platform contains room fronted with alcoves on each side. It's a perforated structure, though this platform was solid in the center to bear this main mausoleum. So far as the main mausoleum is concerned, it was built on a Hast-Behist plan, a noni-partite plan. It's an Iranian plan, and it's a paradisal plan, and in the you can say Islam, there is a concept of the eight paradise, and this paradisal plan was built, and having a corner chambers. In Hastbis plan, corner chambers are double storied, and cardinal chambers were here converted into a entrance gate, while there is a octagonal chamber that enshrine the grave, actual burial of the Humayun, and these all chambers are diagonally interconnected with each other. I think this plan is one of the most complicated plan. Thereafter, we found a simple plan, and now you see, if you geometrically assess it, four octagonal get merged in a central octagon. And now you see all the entrances are recessed inside, while the side wings goes projected outside. And if you recall, the entrance gate which I have discussed was also built in this way. The central portion remained recessed while side wings projected outside. Now you see the central portion which is recessed provided an entrance, while side wings came outside. The diagonal wings containing the double storied alcoves, and the side wings containing a central arch, and it is flanked by blind double arched stories, and these were placed in a white, moldings of white rectangular frames, and between both blind arch we have a horizontal panel of the white marble, while the central arch is having a white marble molding, meaning by red sandstone is laid with white marble and creating a very important color combination of the white marble with red sandstone. Here the spindles are formed in the form of a intersecting stars, and this whole formulation is surmounted by a horizontal panel of white marble. Above that there is a cornice. Above cornice we have a guldasta type motif that is typically of Akbar's period. At each angle, in the same way, the chamfered corners are having a double storied alcoves, and the arches of these alcoves are inlaid, the molding of it inlaid with white marble. Each corner, each angle of this structure is embellished with a minarets, and these minarets are surmounted by a small turrets, octagonal turrets, and turrets are in turn surmounted by a flown lotus. All the four facades of main mausoleum of the Humayun is symmetrical and alike so far as the dimensions are concerned, so far as the ornamentations are concerned. And the central portion, the central entrance arch which is recessed inside, are little bit higher, elevated more than the flanking. And this structure, the central portion is very interesting, containing a bigger arch, and this bigger arch contains a two arch. Lower arch providing a entrance access facilitated the entrance, while above that we have a arched openings. These arched openings above the entrance is meant to relieve the suffocation from inside and providing the light to inside. And this center bigger arch, the molding of this arch is inlaid with white marble. Intersecting arch spindles are having a socket. This socket is filled with a flown lotus. And above this whole facades, each facades, we have a cornice. Above cornice, we have a guldasta type of the motif, in where the guldasta design is inlaid with white marble in a red sandstone. And each angle is having a minarets. Minarets are surmounted by a turrets, surmounting with a flown lotus. And one thing is quite clear about this structure. This structure is a output of the great symmetry, and you know the its central chamber is octagonal, and each side, you know very well, in discussing its plan I have already told you, this octagonal chamber, central chamber, which enshrine the grave of the Humayun, is interconnected with corner rooms and cardinal entrance or cardinal portions. Each side of the octagon of the central chamber is opened either in the passage going outside, or passage to the side corner chambers. It is this central chamber is faced with a interior of the central chamber is faced with white marble, and the same orientation which we found on the exterior took place in the inner side. So far as the terrace planning is concerned, the central octagon chamber is surmounted by a huge dome, and inside we have a two-storied, two steps of the phase of transition have been introduced. In first phase of transition, squinches have been used, and these squinches, since the central chamber is octagonal, the first phase of transition got eliminated in itself. The second phase of transition has achieved with the pendant tips, and this you can say octagonal chamber at the upper side provide the almost circular. Above this the circular rim of the dome, huge dome was placed. And so far as the corner chambers are concerned, corner chambers are double storied. If you pay attention, these chamfered corners containing double alcoves, these two alcoves provide access to the double-storied corner chambers. And these double-storied corner chambers are surmounted by the octagonal domed pillared pavilion. Now the question arises, since the main structure is surmounted by the central portion is surmounted by a huge dome, and just to break the monotony of this dome, the corner chambers, double-story chambers are surmounted by a domed octagonal pillared pavilion. This main dome was placed, this main dome is a double dome, and it contains two cells, one outer, other is inner, and it was placed on a circular drum. Why it was placed on a circular drum? It was placed on a circular drum just to achieve the elevation. If it was not placed on a circular drum, its elevation, we cannot achieve this elevation. And the outer shell makes this structure highly elevated, while inner shell of this double dome eliminate the hollowness of the octagonal central chamber. This is a gateway through which you can move into two cells of the double dome. This double dome is crowned with melon motifs, and this finial is containing a number of the melons of a different size. And this circular dome is providing a base in the form of you can say, a little bit petals, flown petals. And while the drum is built with red sandstone, it was inlaid with a white marble, and especially the design is star and octagonal. It's a geometrical style. It's a geometrical style. This, this structure in itself a beginning of the Mughal architecture. And now you see here the dados of these main structures are containing a white marble panels. This structure, so far as the decoration is concerned, it provides a unique decoration. And here the main building material is a red sandstone. Red sandstone was inlaid with white marble. A rare combination of the white and red has been created here. And all the main and each facade which contains a portal in the center, this portal is surmounted by two domed square chhatris at the corners. Again, this type of the formulation was done to break the monotony, and the skyline of this structure is itself a very beautiful, as central dome was is surmounted by the domed pillared pavilion placed at the corner structure at the corner rooms, and double chhatris, squarish chhatris placed at the cardinal points. And these Chhatris, of course, introduce a aesthetic sense to this structure, but these Chhatris are also serving another function. These Chhatris, these pillared pavilions, also providing a safeguard to the main dome. These Chhatris, these pillared pavilions, you can say minimize the thrust of air to the main dome. And this thrust of the air, which was minimized the chhatris or cupola and chhatris, small chhatris, what was happened? The main structure remained intact and could be able to bear the heavy thrust of the storm. And apart from it, this structure also having some geometrical designs, especially in spandrels. Panels. Panels were placed in both way, horizontal and vertical. And apart from it, the blind arches, blind alcove containing a arch, and these are inlaid, their moldings are inlaid with a very beautiful, you can say, the white marble inlay. This structure in itself a beginning. It was built on a Hast-based Iranian plan, and this building introduced a new concept of mausoleum. It's a section, and this structure in itself a result of very important and a great planning and its execution. Great planning and its execution. This structure is a solid beginning of the Mughal school of architecture, and be as a building, this structure having its own, you can say, criticism. Some scholars, they criticize it on the basis of the proportion. They are of the opinion its proportion make it a dwarf. Though you found it's a beginning of the bulbous dome, bulbous double dome. Height of its height is 42.67 meters. Its width is 42.67 meter. Its height, its width is 47.54 meters. Its width is more than the elevation. Its total height, including this platform, is a 65.53 meters. And really, though this building evokes a greatness, but it is subjected to the bad proportion. And this bad proportion, created any, it's not a criticism for the sake of criticism. Even then, this building is perfect, and the height of this dome from the terrace is 7.62 meters. This, though we can talk about the bed proportion, but one thing is quite clear. This structure is remarkably a harmonious composition, execution, and it's a beginning of the great Mughal architecture. This structure is subject to a symmetry. This structure is characterized with bilateral symmetry. This structure is a true implementation of a Hast-Behest plan, non-tripartite plan. And this plan, which we found in Tomb of Humayun, no doubt it is very tough to execute. If you go through of its plan, now you look at it, central chamber, each side of the octagonal shape of chamber is having some openings. Each corner rooms, cardinal chambers, all are interconnected with each other. Such a complicated plan to execute in itself a great achievement in the field of architecture. No doubt, this building provides the inputs, borrowed a lot of architectural features from the outside. But it's a beginning of the architecture, a Mughal architecture that is one of the most composite architecture world ever produced, having some indigenous characteristics, Iranian, Central Asian characteristics, and the inlay work has been started from here. The Mughals, this structure provides the use of the four-centered arches, and now you see the dropping eaves in Chhatris, dropping eaves have been found, and the introduction of the Chhatris, which under the Shahjahan, the Chhatris became a part of the building. Now the Chhatris, the beginning of the introduction of the Chhatris as a part of the buildings started from the tomb of Humayun. And the inlay work, opposite red sandstone inlaid with white marble. Of course, no precious stone has been used, but it in itself a great achievement, a big step in the field of in the field of decoration and ornamentation. And the white dome and this whole structure was built. I must say some few words about its building technology. This structure is built with a bricks and having a lime surkhi mortar, and this brick structure was veneered with red sandstone and inlaid with white marble. With this comment, I would like to stop. Thank you very much.